there any update on that for Murphy?
Yeah, so he's going to get scanned today and just get an exact detail on what's happened with him. So we obviously know it's the ribs and all that, but we'll be able to determine once we get that done what his plan will be.
Joe had said he'd popped a rib. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, the cartilage normally kind of pops out where the rib's attached to, so and sometimes that can pop back in, but it can be tender for a while, as you might have seen on TV. He was in a bit of pain, but these things can settle down. Just finding out the degree of that and where it is exactly. Sometimes the spot of the body can make it better or worse, so we'll find that out in the short term.
No question though, he's still available in the sense that once the scan comes back, there's no question of having to replace Jordy.
Yeah, I think you will give him the best chance to get it right, and I think obviously with the weekend off, and then with a decent turnaround to the next game, we'll be able to assess him and go from there.
Joey Carberry, he was withdrawn from the subs bench. What's the word on him?
Yeah, we're going to assess him actually today as well, and we'll wait and see how that goes.
Is that serious, Joey? Because it was a surgery and all?
I think it was more precautionary. There's a bit of unlucky kind of instances in rugby where you might get a little stamp or something like that, and rather than take a risk, you just you minimise that. And to be fair to Luke, he got through the 80 minutes well as well. So a number of things covered there.
Are you surprised by the level of injury spread, or is it what he's expected?
I don't think. Yeah, I think if you look at all the teams, there's been a few. There's a lot of high-speed running in the. A lot of tries being scored. There's a lot of the services are firm, and the players are trying to do things as best they can. Which it's a contact sport, but I'm not surprised. I don't think it's been too bad.
Rory, in terms of where the team's at going into the final pool game, what's your assessment of that?
Yeah, look, I think ultimately when you get to these sort of pool competitions with knockout stages coming after them, you want to get into the last round with your destiny in your own hands. We're there. Look, obviously I think we would have expected to be in a better place after 3 games. We would have expected to win the 3 games, but look, that hasn't happened. And now it was important to get 5 points last night, and it's important now that we take a couple of days just to regenerate, to refresh everyone a little bit after what has been a fairly hectic schedule with a 6 and a 5 day turnaround, and we get into the Samoa game on Monday, and we look at that week and we make sure that we keep improving. We said that after the Scotland game and we didn't do it against Japan, so it's important now that we keep taking steps forward. But look, ultimately where you want to be is knowing that a win and a bonus point win will guarantee you a quarter-final place, and that's why we're here. We're here to play in the quarter-finals, and that is, I suppose we've probably made no secret of that, and that's where we're at.
You regularly reflect that performances are what you look at, and that tends to lead to the results. How would you reflect on the performances? Are they where you need them to be?
I think we had a very good start, and I think before we arrived out here there was a lot being made and a lot being pushed at us about how we apparently don't start competitions well, and we did start well, and I think we started the Japan game really well. 12-3, it's not a place where we expect to lose a game from, and I think traditionally when we get ahead, we're a very hard team to stop, and we just made a few uncharacteristic mistakes. But there were aspects of that game that we were reasonably happy with. There were obviously a lot that we needed to work on. I think last night's game, there was a little bit of pressure going into it because of looking for a rebound after the Japan game. Some players having to play their 3rd game in 11 days. Some guys playing their first game in the competition, and I think in difficult conditions, I thought we played well. Like I say, we got the 5 points out of it, and I think where we are now is just time to reflect a little bit. I think it's very, very rare in a World Cup where you get a weekend where you have no game and you get a longer turnaround like we have now. So it is really important that we utilise that. But I think in terms of where we want to be, obviously we always want to get better, and I think we have a lot of room for improvement. But I think there are some areas that are probably being overlooked that we can be happy with, and can give us the platform to keep pushing on.
How would you describe the confidence within the group?
I think when you lose a game, regardless of, and it's the same with every team I've been involved with, when you look across the board and you chat to other players and other teams over the years, whenever you lose a game and you go from being supposedly, contenders in the first game to useless in the second game, ultimately it's always going to affect the confidence a little bit, but I think we bounce back well, and I think that this group understands what we need to do to play well. We understand what our core values, if you like, are, and we know that we weren't as good in those areas against Japan, but ultimately you take a look back and you look at after the England game and you look at Wales, Scotland, that run of games where we felt in a good slot and we felt like we were improving, and we were in those 3 games. And sometimes you gotta just take it in the chin and go, we didn't play as well as we can. Japan played very well, and they put us under a bit of pressure, and they used the opportunities. But I think in terms of confidence in a group, I think we're still very assured of what we're capable of and how we get there.
Greg, what was your assessment of the scrum last night?
There was a lot of them. I think there's 18 handling errors from us alone, and I thought the guys stuck in there pretty well. There was a couple of penalties, a couple for us, a couple against. One of them was probably 50-50, but we're reasonably happy from it, considering getting big John Ryan out there for 55 minutes, getting Ports on at loose head was good.
Rory, just on Geordie, obviously, given that he's hardly been just arriving in an injury, would you have everything crossed that he can, he'll be good to go and stay in the tournament?
Yeah, look, I think you don't like to see anyone going home was the same, whatever last week with Jack, and it's just, you understand that it's part and parcel of rugby, and especially in World Cups, because you can't really, because you've only 31 players, you can't afford to hang on to somebody and hope they'll be all right in a week or two, because you don't have that luxury of time. So look, I think from our point of view, Geordie's a great guy to have out here, and he's very popular amongst the squad, and he's a fantastic player. So look, for us, we want to keep all our best players out here, and yeah, look, it'd be a real shame if something, but look, I think we can only take it as what it is. I think rib is one of those things that sometimes looks a lot worse and a lot more painful when you're coming off the pitch than it actually is, and hopefully that'll settle down pretty quickly.
Rory, sorry, you said you understand what it is that you need to do well in order to win games. What is that precisely?
Well, I think for us it's basics. I think you look at that Japan game, we turned the ball over a bit too much. Our breakdown wasn't as effective as it normally is, and just our pressure in our territory game weren't as strong as I think they were really good in the first quarter, and then we just, whatever happened, we just eased back in that, and it's mostly the unforced errors. We had, I think when we were 12-3 up, we had a few opportunities, and we either turned the ball over cheaply, we give away penalties. There's one time a kick through, we had them in the worst place you can be in rugby, and right sort of that ruck 5 and 5 from your own line, and we give away a penalty, and they kicked it away. They have a very strong line out, so ultimately a couple of penalties later and you're in your own half, and so they're all little things that we did. I think when we are playing at our best, you're never going to have a perfect game of rugby. As much as you strive and train to get it, you're not going to have it. But what we did really well against Scotland is when we made a mistake, we backed that up with something positive. I think Japan, we allowed ourselves for it to be a couple of mistakes before we actually then tried to fight back, or else we had one good moment and we didn't back it up with another good moment, and they're the sort of the basics of our game, that when they go well, we go well.
Take the last one.
Rory, can I ask you kind of a two-pronged question? What was your kind of view on Niall Scannell's performance last night? And then kind of a harder question to answer is probably, what did you make of Johnny Sexton as captain over the last couple of days?
I thought Scans went really well. The set piece was good. He got around the pitch, and look, Scans is a very physical player, and they're the areas of his game. And I think when you make changes and you bring people in, you don't want them to try to do anything sort of out of the normal. They're there for a reason. They're there because they're very good at aspects of the game, and I thought Scans was good at those aspects of the game, as he has been for Munster for a good time now, and every time he's got a chance with Ireland. So I think with that sort of coming into the front row that played yesterday, you know, there's a little bit of comfort in that, and I think the boys did really well, especially with Scans getting his first start and John Ryan getting his first appearance in the World Cup. And then I think with Johnny, I think he's a fantastic captain. I think if you look at the way with Leinster, I think the problem when you get somebody as good as Johnny, the tendency sometimes is to focus on some of the negatives. And you know, I think if you look at the way he's led Leinster, you know, there's not a lot been said about how successful they were last year. You know, a lot was sort of said about that game in Thomond Park and focused on that. Whenever you see the way Leinster play and you see the way they want to play for him, and I think the sign of a really good captain is that you get a sense that people want to play under you, and I think you get that from Leinster last season, and you got that from the boys last night. I think he's definitely maturing into somebody that understands the difference between being a quality player and a quality captain. And yeah, I thought he did really well. I thought he had a really strong 40 minutes, not just as a player but as a captain last night, and I think there's no hiding away from the fact that he's a big leader within this group.